when you're buying a property. I'll tell you a story about something that happened this week. I'm working with a couple and they are buying their first home. So when we went to look at this property, it was lovely, clean, bright, newer, had beautiful views. And so they made an offer. And then we went back and forth with the seller, and finally we had a meeting of the minds, and the offer was accepted. They were very excited. Now, once you have an offer accepted, as a buyer, you have the right to have inspections. And I always encourage my clients to do as many inspections as they want to, because this is a huge investment and you don't know what's inside of those walls. And people have to really be careful. So anyway, they did a home inspection, a termite inspection. They checked the sprinklers, and we found out some interesting things. Your agent has to do what's called an agent visual inspection disclosure. So when I did that, I noticed above the kitchen sink there it looked like there had been a repair. And then I went upstairs, and in the master bathroom, which is right above, the floor sort of looks like it's buckling. Now, I am not licensed to know any of what that could be, but I did notice that it looked like somebody had repaired it, and the floor looked like it was buckling. That I could see with my eyes. And then the home inspector saw the same thing. And then around the toilets, it was wet, two of the toilets. So, I noted that the toilets were wet, and some of the windows looked foggy. And so there's just different things. Some of the windows didn't open. They were taped. So all of these things, after you own the house, will cost you money. So it's very important to look at all of these minor details that you might think, oh, that's okay. That doesn't matter. But they do. People get really held up about things like wallpaper, carpet. I don't like the color of the tile. That kind of stuff you don't even have to worry about. That stuff you can change. But if you have function that is a problem, that's what you have to really worry about. So anyway, we asked the seller what happened, because the seller also has to give you what's called a transfer disclosure statement. And on the transfer disclosure statement, the seller did not ever mention on anything that there had ever been a leak or anything. And so after asking a few times, she said that there had been a leak from the shower upstairs and that the tenant fixed it. And she didn't know who the tenant used, and they were not licensed. Now that's a red flag, because we're talking about water, ceilings, floors, and a repair. So you really want to make sure that that was done correctly, because if it wasn't, you can have some issues. And so we asked to have further inspections done on that. And then the sprinklers in the house, we had those tested. Now, in 1998, there was a recall on some of these fire sprinklers, and they don't work. So the fire system works, but not the sprinklers. Well, in this particular house, they don't work. So if you have a fire, the system works, but the sprinklers won't go off. And so you need to check those types of things. And who you work with truly matters, because that's why you need a realtor, because the realtor will guide you in all of the inspections that you should get. There's a form that's called the Buyer Inspection Advisory that tells you the importance of property investigation. It tells you the obligations of your broker, the obligations of the seller, and what you're strongly advised to do. I always advise my clients to do any and all inspections until they feel completely confident with the property, even as far as calling the local police department and giving that address and asking them if there have been any incidents in around that property in the past few years. Because as a realtor, we can't tell you anything like that. And check the Megan's Law database. We can tell you where to go, but legally we can't tell you anything like that. But you need to find those things out, because the last thing you want to do is buy a house, move in, and then find out something about the neighborhood that makes you uncomfortable. And so not only the general condition of the property, but all of these other things you need to think about too. Um, wood destroying pests that people worry about, general condition, roofs, people worry about the grading, earthquakes, hazards, flooding, all of that stuff people worry about. But there's things they don't think about, like make sure nothing was done without a permit. You'll get a city inspection if you're in the city, and the city should show everything that's ever been done. So if you see a deck in the back and you don't see that the deck has been finalized or on that city inspection, you need to make sure that deck is legal, because you don't want to buy something without a permit, because then you're stuck with that. In the county, there's a county report, but it's not required. So if you're buying in the county of Monterey, then I always tell people to get a county report, because it's not required, but ask for it. And make sure that there haven't been any insurance claims, because the insurance claims follow the house. Make sure about security, safety. There's so many things. And if you've never owned a house, you have no idea the expense that you can incur if you have a problem. So home warranties are always a good idea, because they protect your appliances, the garage door openers, floods. They're great. Not floods, toilets getting clogged up. A home warranty is always a good idea. If the seller won't buy it for you, make sure your realtor buys it for you. They should. And so if you want a copy of this buyer's inspection advisory, let me know. I'm happy to send it to anybody. But again, make sure that you work with a realtor that has your best interest at heart. We all do. But we are your trusted advisor, and we should develop the relationship with you so that you know that we are teaching you and giving you all of the information that you need so that you make the best decision for yourself when purchasing a home. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, I'm always available. Leslie DeLuca.